Okay, guys, happy Aloha Friday. We are going to be talking about staying out of social media jail, realtor jail, with just some best practices. We're going to take a look at some things, and we are really blessed to have Mike Menegas here. He is our new one of our brokers in charge here over at Keller Williams Honolulu. He's going to be assisting all. You know what, Mike? I should let you introduce yourself. But he's been amazing to welcome and get to meet in here, and he's in the office Monday through Friday here at Kapiolani. And Mike.
Hi everybody. That's me. I'm here to answer questions. If anyone has any things, it's always better to run it by Carrie or myself first, because in today's world of a screenshot, it just takes a second to have something wrong get reported. And so we want to keep you guys out of social media jail, DCCA jail. Fines aren't very fun, especially as you're launching your business. And so, yeah, reach out to us anytime. We're happy to help you.
Awesome. So we're going to answer some basic questions and not get too deep into some things, but hopefully stimulate a conversation and further questions afterwards. All right. So we are going to go ahead. I'm going to share my screen. Mike was kind enough to put together this really wonderful presentation here, and move my chat there. All right. We got it. So how to navigate social media to avoid realtor jail. We don't want that. We want more of that. And we're gonna work on some of that today. So really briefly, what we're talking about in social media, there's a really great YouTube video, last year's tech chairman, Daniel Ulu. We talked about setting up your Instagram profile, even setting up your Facebook business page, and that is on our YouTube channel. I'd love for you to kind of check that out. But today we're really talking about how you're representing yourself in that, and a lot of that has to do with your username. And so as this slide is saying, whether or not it's the domain name for your website even, or the names that you're using on social media to point people into your direction, you want to be careful with the use of the term realtor and even their logo, right? So the term realtor, whether used as part of the domain name or in some fashion, it must refer to a member or a member's firm. So you personally or the firm, right? And the term realtor may not be used with descriptive words or phrases. And so they give a couple of examples here where, it says #1realtor.com, #1realtor.com, chicagorealtors.org, realtor properties. So it took me a while, Mike, to really kind of take a look at the examples and kind of flesh out, wait, why is that wrong? Right? So it could be kind of tricky. And maybe best practice, as Mike said, right? Maybe the best practice is just ask the question. Yeah.
Yeah, what we think is a good idea sometimes isn't.
Get the two-party validation, right? Always ask. Whether or not it's the domain name of your website. So again, that's in there, but more facts or more little things in here is the term realtor should never be used to denote an occupation or business. So don't combine words like your, my, or with any descriptive words or phrases between your name and that term realtor. So when they say membership mark, and looking and doing the research, Mike did a lot of research in this, and as I'm reading it, it's very like legalese. And so membership mark, even just using that phrase realtor, you're thinking mark and logo, but even that phrase is identifying yourself or itself as realtor, right? So Jane Doe, myrealtor.com, your Chicago Realtor, johndoe.com. They have that descriptive word or phrase separating you as a person from it bad use. And again, it's at first blush, it may seem like it's okay, but it's not. Kimberly, you have your hand raised.
Question. So is it best practices to say salesperson, sales agent rather than realtor? Is that Is that what
Ooh,
we're
that's a
getting at?
great question, and you are way ahead of the game. We'll talk about that.
Oh, sorry.
No, no, that you're on it. That's amazing. You are on it. And so, the domain name or email address, even, right? Say kind of the same thing. And in this case, when you look between that first bullet and jdomyrealtor.com, and you're looking at the second one, when it says realtors at webnet services or jdo realtors at webnet services, these are notated as both correct uses of the term as part of the email address. And it's just really hard. Mike, what would you, again, if you like brought the cookie jar way down low, like what is the best way to kind of eyeball and kind of go, ooh, this maybe not be correct?
Well, the reason, sometimes it's best to understand why first. And why is because Realtor is a trademark name that we all can use because we pay Realtor dues. It's actually, side note, it's the largest trade organization in the world. It's bigger than the NRA, has more membership. And so it gets confusing if you say, like, if you use it as like a pronoun, your Realtor designates like a singular possessive, where it's an actual huge organization that we pay dues into, that we subscribe to the code of ethics. That's really the difference right there, is that's telling the public that we subscribe to their Realtor code of ethics. And so by being a member, by having that, your, my, our, whatever, that makes it sound like it's a singular versus the big thing. But if you say Kimberly Lentz Realtor, that's fine, because that designates that it's Kimberly Lentz. And she, to me, it's kind of a distinction without a difference, but that is the way the NAR interprets it. And so we don't want to have any potential violations. It's an innocent mistake. And that's why we're covering this today, because I've seen a lot of people make that mistake. In fact, my slogan is your Realtor for life. And so I have to be careful about just using that as a slogan and not as a domain name, because it wouldn't fly as a domain, but it can be used as a tagline on my emails. So you kind of have to be able to bifurcate those things out and be careful.
Awesome. And Mike comes with a great background in legal areas and expertise with a degree as well. So questions, again, in regards to anything like that, definitely make sure that you're asking. And then Kimberly in the chat, like Kleenex for tissue. Yes.
Right? People say that all the time. Kleenex, Kleenex, Kleenex. That's actually a brand name. Like they're meaning tissue, right? Can I have a tissue? But they say Kleenex all the time.
Like a jacuzzi tub, it's become so, almost connected and woven into the social zeitgeist that becomes the identifier.
That's right. Okay, so as we get back into the site, so we're talking about that distinction and domain names and the proper use. And so here's just a little chart. And again, you can kind of see there's, at first blush, not a lot of difference between the two, but you can see acceptable names on this side where it really is that person in relation to Realtor. And then you have on the other side, Chicago Realtor, your Chicago Realtor, Realtor Mom. Somebody could be, right? That sounds like a great Instagram handle, but probably not when you're looking at it this way, right? And in this case, you've got Realtor Smith, Illinois Association of Realtors with a group, but Realtor J. Smith. So there's ways to do it properly, and it's really just a fine line. Questions, definitely ask Mike. He's available to take a look. Kimberly's question way up front, where we were headed with this, Realtor versus salesperson or associate, or even between the, do we put real estate salesperson? Do we put Realtor associate when it comes to professional job title?
I'll send that one back to you. Honestly, it's just kind of how your license is designated. Because in Hawaii, it's you have the RS or RB. It's one of the two. And so I've seen people write associate, the sales professional, consultant, So I don't know what's exactly correct in that world. That's something I'd have to dig a little deeper into. I don't think you get in trouble for it as long as you put in your license number. And that license number is going to designate that. It'll be RS 23482 or RB, whatever. And so as long as you have that in there, I think that's what's more important.
Absolutely. And what we're going to be looking at too is we're going to open up Instagram. We're going to take a look at some people that are doing it really well, where it is applicable and whatnot. And just a quick note when we're diving into that, and Mike is talking about your license number itself in command in your marketing profile, right underneath where it says professional job title, there's going to be a space for you guys to put your license number in. And the proper use is that RS dash whatever your number would be. Just putting in your number, it's not complete and it's not going to be the best thing, right? So put the whole thing in. If you were wondering how these people got that little trademark R or the Realtor R inside of their thing, if you were on a PC, you hit Alt and then you type the numbers 0174. And as you hit enter, you'll see it change into that R with the circle. On a Mac, I'm not a Mac user, you guys are out of luck. No, you are supposed to be able to put option R and then you'll be fine. And it'll pop up. So quick tip on that. I love you guys, Mac users. Okay, so now we're getting into the nitty gritty. So we have an overall view of realtor salesperson, usernames, and whatnot. This is actually what Mike found in regards to the letter of the law. So we're going to take a look at it as far as advertising. And so how we then engage with social media and what are we showing up on the platform. And when I first looked at it, there's something, thing that was missing, a little tidbit on the end. And then there's this new rule, and it'll show you side by side when you go to the DCCA website, that the link is provided on the slide, that you'll see the old rule and you'll see the new rule and how it's different. So that was huge, making sure that you're in the right place. So for advertisements, all real estate advertising and promotional materials shall prominently and conspicuously include the legal name of the brokerage firm or a trade name previously registered by the brokerage firm with the business registration division, right? The license number of the brokerage firm, that needs to be included as well. So the legal name or trade name, brokerage, a license number, and the license number of the brokerage shall not be required for all advertising and promotional materials that comply with paragraph E. And everybody says, well, what's paragraph E? I'm glad you guys asked. Paragraph E says all advertising and promotional materials that refer to the individual licensee's name, including and not limited to business cards. So this applies to, social media and electronic advertising. You're going to include the licensee's legal name as licensed by the commission or sole proprietor's trade name, right? You're going to identify the licensee with the licensee's associating brokerage firm. So your name, your brokerage firm, and then you're going to include the licensee's number, your license number, right? And again, this is if we are looking at the whole picture, right? So brokerage firm, brokerage number. If you don't have the brokerage number, you're going to be identified in that piece by your name, and saying of Keller Williams Honolulu, and your license number as well.
And the reason for that is it's all about the public. The overriding concern is for public knowledge, safety, protection. So the DCCA wants the public to be able to look at your license number. Like Carrie said, it should be like the RS and then the number, because that's what they need to be able to type into the website to search you. to make sure that you're active, to make sure that this is your actual contact information. So that's the same reason that you need to put in your license name. So if your license name is Robert Smith and you're going by Bob in all your advertising, it can throw off, the public might not be able to find you. And so you want to make sure that the two connect. And so I would think about that as you're getting licensed, to make sure that the name you go by is the name that, or at least reasonably close. Like Mike, Michael might not make a huge difference, but Bob and Robert are totally different. And so just food for thought. And sometimes it's good to understand the policy reasoning behind some of these rules. So thought I'd throw that out there.
Awesome. And you know what? We've got a great team here at the Market Center. We've got a group of people here. We got Tyler Shimogawa. If you guys have not emailed or phoned or talked to Tyler, he is our in-house marketing specialist, and he is on the spot. And he mentioned in the chat that, we were talking about the Realtor R versus the RS. That may differ per the island that you're on, right? Maui, the Big Island, Kauai, or here on Oahu, using the S or the RS. But for us here on Oahu, we use that RA, that Realtor Associate. Cool. Thanks, man. It's nice to put a face to the emails that everybody's probably used to getting. But if you have a question, you talk to Mike about, hey, what am I supposed to use? And you need some help as far as email footers and graphics and different things like that, Tyler's your man. Thank you, sir.
And he's a wizard, by the way. He can work magic. So you guys really should make sure to reach out to him if you have questions and need to beautify anything that you're trying to do.
Yes. And so all that being said, before we go on to that last panel of notes, does anybody have any questions or need any extra clarity? I'm going to open up an Instagram window right now and take a look at some examples. But any questions for Mike and or Tyler, since we've got them both here? Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
It's a good thing we do this on a Friday instead of a Monday. Everyone's ready for the weekend.
We'll get you guys there. We'll get you guys there. Okay, so let's take a look at Instagram. And whose cute little dollar is that? Christine Liu. That's Olivia. She's a cutie. Okay, so we are looking, and we're just gonna scroll. Sammy, if you're watching this video, if I remember to hit record, I think I did. We're gonna see what you got going on. Sam is very active member of our Keller Williams Young Professionals. So she's got some beautiful photos here of this listing. We're gonna hit more. She's got a wonderful description. Beautiful place. If you guys are on YouTube.
In the description, sorry to jump in, Carrie.
Yeah.
Notice that as long as it's in the post, you're safe. And if you see that she's got email me for more information, she's got her name, her broker license, the company name, and the company license, boom, you're good. If you omit that on a post, then we're getting into the slippery slope. It can't be more than one click away. So it's really best to just keep it in the post, even in the bottom part. It doesn't have to be in there, but as long as it's in there somewhere, you're safe.
And so probably the best to be totally safe and err on the side of caution is really, how it says paragraph E says brokerage or license number, just have both maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. So that looks really great. And they, Keller Williams Young Professionals, if you guys are not a part of that and would love to be, they, of course, on Kauai and the neighbor islands, you're more than welcome to be a part, although they did meet in person, had a great training from Title Company partners, and then they had a great lunch. The crispy gouji was amazing. Feliciano Group, Shannon Feliciano and his team out on the west side. So you'll see this is a just listed social media post. opportunity. This might be on the Big Island.
Yes,
And we're gonna hit
comment.
more. There's that description. And again, as we're doing this, if I'm not mistaken, Mike, and just to point out a different wrinkle that we didn't talk about, should you have a leasehold property, does that need to be disclosed? Should they make sure to point that out specifically?
You know, it doesn't really say in the regulation or the statute, but I'm a believer in always over disclosing. Because what you don't want to have happen is you don't want to have someone call you and feel like you duped them into reaching out to you. If the leasehold, it's obviously going to be a lower price. And so if someone's calling you, said, well, this is only 200,000. Oh my goodness, can I see it? You have to go, well, it's a leasehold. And they're like, oh, you know, and so they made me feel like you did a bait and switch. But if you are disclosing it, hey, it's going to make you seem more forthright to the public, and it'll also save you time, because people that aren't serious about looking at a leasehold won't reach out. Or, you know, I mean, I know we want to capture the leads, but we want to do it under the right context. And so I am a big believer in over disclosing above what the threshold might be. But to my knowledge, there's really not a whole lot. It's kind of the Wild West in terms of advertising rules. So we just want to make sure that we stay on top of it, because all it takes is one person complaining to RICO or to the DCCA, and then they might say, well, you know what, maybe you're onto something. Now they're going to change it and do. So it's always better just to be up above the water on that instead of playing reactive.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Sorry, I know we a little off the subject we were looking at, but want to make sure we do that.
Good question. It's something I hadn't really considered, you know, because again, it's kind of ambiguous in the way it's written.
Shuri, you had a question?
Yes. So I just have a question in regarding just posting on Facebook. So you can just take anybody listing and to post it on your Facebook?
You are one step ahead of us. That's the next slide.
That's a great question. You guys are on it today, and I'm glad we're talking about it. Let me switch my tabs here because we got just a couple more examples here. We've got a great, and again, if you're unsure of what to do, there are people out there on Instagram, on Facebook that are doing it really well and have really great examples. The most sincerest form of flattery. And when somebody's doing something good, hey, duplicate it, right? And so best practices are out there. Follow these people on Instagram, shoot them a message in the market center, ask them to chat if you had questions. And so the Tong team, they have lots of listings, lots of great social media. And again, you'll see both the license number and the RV number. The Ihara team, this is something we haven't talked about. We talked about username, we talked about domain name and stuff, not logos. If you have a brand, if you have a logo that you're looking at creating, you'll notice that both the Ihara team, so it may not be in the description itself, but they've got that information here, right? So it has to be somewhere. Logos, best practice is going to be making sure, there's Karan, you don't have to dance online, and if you do, probably get more views and likes. And then you'll see her information there. She has her license number. She acknowledges the brokerage, but then again, right, the brokerage, and if you don't have the brokerage license number there, you have your own, right? So that's an example of that. But going back, and again, so the logos, I know I had a instance of the Lolly team as well, and you'll see Team Lolly of Keller Williams Honolulu, and they'll include the brokerage's RV number there on their logo. So any questions or you need any help with that, definitely, again, check in with Mike, check in with Tyler, and between the two of them, you get some legal magic and graphic magic there getting done for you. Any questions on examples? You guys are all out there. You guys have your Instagram pages. Greg, I think I'm following you. Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
I just put my email in the chat in case anyone ever has a question they want to reach out to me. Email is a great way to do it.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. So we got one more slide and a little bonus maybe for you in regards to social media and what's happening in Command. But let's go back to that last slide. We're going to talk about, Mike mentioned there are some notes in here we want to touch base before we end this presentation. And it was in regards to, we were talking about advertising, open house signs, and compliance. Okay, so stick around with this. Couple of key things. There is an order form inside of your sign-on packet if you're new, and or you can always reach out to Tyler Shimogawa, our in-house marketing specialist. Ordering it, you can do on your own, of course, but check with the office to make sure you have the right key things we're going to take a look at right now. This is our standard sign, right? When you do your own order, of course, it's going to have your contact information, your headshot on this thing. But what we have is our brokerage information, our broker number, right? It's going to be important. You're going to want to make sure to have the office address here, contact information, and something small. Each office is independently owned and operated, right? And so those key things are super important. So it's more than just putting your name and your face and contact information on a sign. So please, please, please be compliant. According to MLS rules, you must obtain written permission to market and post another agent's listings. And that's great practice, whether or not it's a posting on Facebook, or you're running a Facebook ad through Command. Hey, I would love to do a Facebook ad. What you spend on it is you, right? And we just asking the listing agent, hey, do I have your, can I do that? I'd love to help you get more eyes on your property. 2, you must also make known that any outside listing is being provided courtesy of X, right? This is to protect the public from misinformation, right? It's not your listing, it's somebody else's. I heard in a class, I think it was Ignite, where somebody asked, hey, is it okay to mention the other brokerage or the other agent? Absolutely, right? You guys are out there, you guys are working together as far as, hey, I've got a buyer and I need to find the right listing. So there's nothing wrong with going to an open house, going to a brokerage open, asking their permission. Hey, can I shoot a video? Hey, can I, post some pictures online? And you want to make sure, hey, courtesy of whoever that agent is, maybe they have a Instagram handle or whatnot that you want to give them a shout out as well.
2 quick points. Number 1, listing, the written permission can be an email. It doesn't need to be a fancy form or an indemnification clause or anything crazy like that. That can just be a simple email that you have a paper chain to. 2, be careful when you're doing that, because if you just take the photo that's being used, I've seen cases where it was taken by a professional photographer and it's considered their intellectual property. Whoever snaps the photo has rights to the photo, and they actually sued the person who was sharing it because they didn't have their permission. And so you might, as a good CYA policy, if you do ask to share another agent's listing, ask, do we also have permission to share all of the photos? Meaning that, do you have authority? Because if it was professionally staged and they didn't sign a waiver that it could be shared freely, you could get in trouble and owe that photographer for damages. And so it seems innocuous, seems innocent, but it's just one more layer of permission, just saying, if these were professionally staged or professionally taken, is there also permission from the photographer to share? And so again, probably won't happen very often, but in the event it does, you don't want to be the one having to write a check for damages.
Absolutely, absolutely. Cool. Hey, you know what, Mike, there are two more little notes, or please remember that might be kind of new for people and whatnot, and kind of separate from social media. Did you want to speak to those?
Sure. Property management's big on vacation on an island like this. People buy homes for investments. They want a property manager, and out of the kindness of our hearts, we're like, oh, we can do that. Not yet. There's some exciting news coming down the line that we'll be able to share with you guys to add more value to our clients. Currently, we're not doing property management, but again, that'll change in the near future. And this, so again, be real careful. If you have a client that you want that says, can you manage my property? Come to Chad or myself or Carrie or Christy and make sure that you have a conversation first, put it that way. Because there might be some channels that we could do to preserve the business, but we're not just putting Keller Williams property management out there, not yet. And then for number 4 is the broker is responsible for all of your real estate activities. You know, and it seems kind of like babysitting, you know, like, well, I own 4 rentals, why can't I manage them myself? Well, you might be able to, but everything has to be run through the office, because let's just say you collected a deposit from a client and then you just threw it in your bank account and then you're going to transfer it to, that's commingling. There's the red lights, there's the blue lights flashing for realtor jail. You know, trust accounting and funds and commingling funds, even if you have no ill intent and you're not doing anything shady, it can still land you in a gigantic fine, and the office also is liable. And so property management is a real slippery slope we want to be really careful about. And so, you know, if you have personal rentals and you want to rent them out, bring it to Chad or myself first, and we can kind of help you with that. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but we need to make sure that we're involved, knowing that, so we can make sure that it's done right. And again, soon we'll have a division that you can refer out to that, or we can be part of that. But in the interim, it's definitely not good to ask for forgiveness rather than permission. Let's just make sure that we're careful, because again, it's so easy to make a mistake in that world, and then we'll both go down. And so we don't want to do that. But I think it's pretty simple. Just reach out, you know, when you have a question, and then we'll help you through it.
There's lots of laws in regards to property management that made me have to take my real estate exam a second time. Radically transparent. Kimberly, you have a question. Oh, I'm sorry, you're on mute. Or we can't hear you.
I think you're muted, Kimberly. I need to work on my lip reading.
Actually, you're not. There might be something wrong with the audio. Yeah, you are unmuted officially. Something might be wrong with the audio.
Okay.
Definitely Mike's email is inside of the, because I do know.
I think you're on now. I heard you say yay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so my question is, I don't know if it's like this on all the islands. I know definitely for the island of Kauai with vacation rentals, you have to have an on-island emergency contact. Is that considered the same as a property manager? Even if that person that's the on-island emergency contact doesn't do any of the property management, take funds for any of the management or bookings?
A lot of that, to my knowledge, is based on if you're an employee of a company. So you don't have to have a license to do that as long as you're an employee and you're receiving like a paycheck from the company. If you're talking like a registered agent, like for a service of process for like a corporation, I'm not sure. But in terms of this, again, there's a few loopholes, and one of them again is if you're managing I think it's called the caretaker's exception. And so again, if we're in a situation like that, I would just bring it to Chad or I, and we can help you navigate through it.
Okay.
It's a great question, Kimberly. Awesome. So that is a little bit about the social media use, right? We talked about username, domain names. We talked about the license, the brokerage information. We talked about logos and branding. I do have, and it's 1:30. A little bit at 1:35. I do have a little bit of magic in regards to social media and command. I don't know if you guys have seen. Let me go ahead and stop my share of this. And I'm gonna move my command over here. I know if you guys have been in designs recently and saw a little button pop up, and I'm just gonna point that out because you guys might think this is cool. or I'm just super geeky and think it's cool. Okay. So inside of commands, we are going to go to designs. And so you might be looking at like, gosh, I want to do more on social media. I don't know like what to post or how to post, or I'm not graphically inclined and amazing like Tyler is. Command and KW have all kinds of templates in here already for you. And so if you hit create design and you go to social and you hit continue, from command, you're going to go into our designs applet. It redirects you out to this wonderful webrand.com partnership. And there's going to be hundreds of templates in here for you to choose from. And so as those templates load, you have your social story type, social square, and different things, listings, and you can choose what the theme is that you'd want. And let's just say just sold. And you can see the formats are all different and there for you to change. Social square. Oh, I like that one. That just caught my eye really fast. And so you choose the template that you want. Nothing's new there, right? You click and you swap your logos. And if you have not been in designs, I mean, this is how easy it is. You go to DBA name. If you have some brand assets in here, all you do is you hover over the one that you want and you go replace, and it swaps, right? And what's new, there's this little animation button. And so you guys are all using, that are using Canva out there. Canva is amazing. If you don't want to pay for it and have a free option, this is developing in here in designs, right? And you can find an animation that you want. That scrapbook, I like that bounce in, right? So you can animate the whole page, or you can make that page and click on each item and have a different animation for it. And then you're building your post. You can change the duration, you can do different things. And so this is relatively new if you haven't been in designs for a bit. And then that way you do get the download, you get the file, you can hit done and save it for later. When you're in designs, you save your and hit done. Now it becomes part of your design templates inside of command, and you can go back and you can go back and do more edits, right? So pretty cool option. And again, command in overall is continuing to grow. If it's not doing something that you guys wanted to do just yet, there's a great site, ideas.kw.com. Agents from all over the country, or I wanted to do this, or if it did this, it would be cool. And then find the idea that maybe is already there, upvote it to get the attention of all the engineers, or if it's not there, put it in and send it to the market center. Oh, that's a crazy idea submitted by one of our agents. That'd be amazing. We can have the market center and islands surround you and upvote that idea, right? Because command is built by feedback from you guys. And that is our class for today in 40 minutes. Any questions for Mike, Sharia?
Okay, quick question in regarding the posting, how to export that to Facebook? And do I need the permission before I export it?
I think if you are, as far as permission goes, if you have the permission of the listing agent, like if you're promoting a listing, you would put all that information there. The cool thing about designs is that it pulls information from the MLS and is capable of, and so you would search the address or search the neighborhood specific data and pick it, and it pulls it right into the post itself. And so once you have the permission of the agent, you're swapping out the logo, you put in your name, and perhaps, right, in that case, it's just a post, and you would go and post that, make your caption, make sure that you have your information in your post as well, or if it's not on a logo or embedded into the image itself. Doing it for the first time, definitely reach out for help and making sure you got the gist of it. from the command and the designs to the, am I compliant? And then posting, everybody could use more practice. I could use more practice at posting. I got to be more active. But that's why there are great people out there that are doing it on a daily basis, doing it really well. I'm sure they would love to chat and confirm contribution and share how they're getting done, what they're getting done. So definitely like reach out to them directly. Anybody else? Any last minute questions?
I'll
No?
type my my phone number in the chat as well in case people prefer texting. I'm available most of the time, even on the weekends if you have a question. I check my email all the time. So please don't feel like you can't reach out. If you have something you want to share or post, just let me know. I'm happy to kind of be the gatekeeper for you and make sure that we're all doing okay. So I'm going to type my number real quick. Please feel free to share it and keep it however you want. But I think that it's a good thing to have a presence. It engages with our audience. You know, when I come from Idaho and Washington markets for 22 years, and one of my favorite things to do is pick a cool listing that's going to get people talking and say, this is my pick of the week, and courtesy of XYZ Realty. And people don't care who posted it or who lists it. They're talking about it and they're sharing it and they're tagging their brothers and sisters and cousins and friends and saying, wow, look at this cool house. It's got a nice pool or whatever. And you're the source, and you can tag yourself. If you want to look at this great property, reach out to me. You know, people forget about the attestation, you know, and they care more about the actual post, and it creates an audience, it creates value. So that's why it's a cool thing. We just want to make sure we have permission to do it. And there's different rules. Sometimes if it's allowable through an IDX feed, the MLS has a couple different rules, and it's assumed to allow it to be shared if it's linked through IDX websites. But it's always a good practice just to get that extra permission. Plus, it helps build relationships. You can say, hey, Susie Smith, I'd love to share your listing. Is that okay with you? Oh, great, thank you. You know, and then you've made that connection with that other agent. So I think it's good for a lot of reasons. Anyways, so yeah, reach out anytime. Carrie or I, we're here for you. And good luck, everybody. Happy Friday.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for being here. Sure, you had another question before we
Yes,
jet out.
Sorry, a quick one. Because I don't have the MLS access right now. So am I allowed to post the listing? Because I have to ask the permission from the other agent, correct?
I would hang on, just getting started. I would definitely wait. Well, you have your license number, but not the MLS access. That might be a little tricky with people asking you for information, though. Definitely, that's something that we can help here at the office if you needed to do a little bit of extra research. But as Mike said, as far as social media goes, make sure you're set up well. Engage. You guys that were in Ignite, there was a really great template of like, hey, this is do this and engage with these many people and like back and do this. And it was a great way, if you're not familiar with social media, to like, hey, what do I do? How do I get started? Because when you engage, it's all about building relationships. That's where your business comes from. So build relationships. It might be intimidating. Best practice in regards to social media is just get started. But thank you to Tyler as well for hanging out with us live in person, and you guys for joining us. Any questions, reach out. Mike's email, Mike's number, Tyler's email is in the chat. Anything that we can do to support you guys and help you build your business, do not hesitate. But other than that, we'll see you on YouTube, and have a blessed weekend, everybody. Thank you so much.